going? You can just fuck off. Go on, don't. I have customers here. Get with the
The movie kicks off in 1960s London, introducing the infamous Krays twins, Reggie and Ronnie, who dominate the East End's criminal underworld. Though they are both feared gangsters,
young wife of yours.
Reggie stands out as the charismatic and strategic one, while Ronnie, struggling with paranoid schizophrenia, is unpredictable and prone to violent outbursts.
How you doing? You all right? Got your cup of tea?
Reggie is first seen stepping out of an East End apartment and casually offering tea to a couple of police officers sitting in a car nearby.
Why don't you fuck off, Kray?
One of them, Nipper Red, is clearly keeping an eye on him, but Reggie merely smirks, taunting them before moving on. His next stop is tracking down his driver, Frank, who didn't show up for work. Another one of his associates, Albert, follows along in Reggie's car. When Reggie reaches Frank's place, he's greeted by Frank's sister, Frances, who also happens to be the narrator of the story. There's an instant attraction between them.
But that is my drive crack.
Though Frances' mother quickly shuts it down, making it clear that she doesn't approve of Reggie's presence. Just then, Frank arrives and Reggie leaves with him. After driving for a bit, Reggie and Albert slip through an alleyway, successfully shaking off the police tailing them. Meanwhile, Ronnie, Reggie's slightly younger twin, is reminiscing about how he once manipulated someone into giving him their pudding.
Thinking.
His erratic storytelling highlights his unstable mind. The narration reveals that Ronnie was initially imprisoned for grievous bodily harm, but was later moved to a psychiatric institution after being deemed insane. Unwilling to let his brother remain locked up, Reggie devises a plan to secure his release. He enlists the help of Big Pat, an enforcer, to put subtle pressure on a psychiatrist handling Ronnie's case. Eventually, the psychiatrist testifies in favor of Ronnie's release, but not before warning Reggie that Ronnie is dangerous.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I know what.
He even hands Reggie medication, stressing that it must be given to Ronnie daily to prevent any serious problems. Ignoring Frances' mother's strong objections, Reggie takes her out on a date to one of his clubs. He explains how he attracts famous faces by mixing them with local tough guys, creating an air of danger that keeps people coming back. Their evening is briefly interrupted when Reggie is called away to deal with Jack, a manager caught skimming profits from a drug operation. Rather than taking extreme measures, Reggie lets him off with a warning, though not before delivering a solid punch to get his message across. Returning to Frances, she asks if he enjoys being a gangster. Reggie brushes it off, insisting he's just a club owner who likes the money and respect that come with the business. The two share a kiss. Soon after, Reggie introduces Frances to Ronnie, who casually brings up his own sexuality while a man is seen leaving his place. The focus then shifts to an escalating turf war between the Krays twins and a rival South London gang led by Charlie Richardson. After a series of minor conflicts, the Krays are invited to a meeting on neutral ground to negotiate peace. However, it's an ambush, and they find themselves surrounded by Richardson's men, who are ready to attack. Ronnie, always quick on his feet, bluffs by acting as if he's carrying guns and expresses disappointment that there won't be a shootout, using the distraction to slip away. Meanwhile, Reggie holds his own in a fistfight until Ronnie returns armed with hammers. Together, they turn the tables on their attackers, leaving them battered and broken. As their criminal empire expands, the Krays rely on their lawyer, Leslie Payne, to set up legitimate businesses that serve as a front for their illegal dealings. Frances explains that while Reggie saw Payne as an important asset, Ronnie never trusted him and made no secret of his dislike. With Payne's help, the Krays twins secure a stake in a casino, which Reggie sees as his ticket to becoming a respectable businessman. Ronnie, however, has no interest in going straight. He thrives on the chaos of the criminal world. Around the same time, Payne informs them that the American Mafia wants to build connections with London's top gangsters. While Ronnie couldn't care less, Reggie agrees to the meeting, and it ends in a mutually beneficial partnership. As narrated by Frances, the new casino quickly becomes a huge success, raking in profits and pushing Reggie further toward legitimacy. The place follows a unique model, attracting celebrities while still maintaining an element of danger by keeping gangsters in the mix. However, despite this seemingly lawful business, the Krays remain neck-deep in crime, running money laundering operations and protection rackets alongside their legitimate ventures. Before long, Reggie is forced to serve time for a previously delayed prison sentence. While inside, he endures brutal beatings from the guards, but eventually outsmarts one and gets his revenge. Meanwhile, Ronnie tells Frances that Reggie doesn't want any visitors, but she goes to see him anyway. Reggie is furious. He doesn't want her to witness him in such a vulnerable state. While Reggie is locked up, Ronnie sabotages the club's business, intentionally driving it into the ground because he has no interest in anything other than the gangster lifestyle. When Reggie is released, he proposes to Frances and they visit the club together. Seeing how much damage Ronnie has done, Reggie snaps and confronts him in front of their crew. Instead of backing down, Ronnie cruelly insults Frances, which leads to an intense fight between the brothers. Eventually, emotions get the best of them, and Ronnie apologizes, showing a rare moment of vulnerability. Determined to push forward, Reggie shows Frances a high-end club in the West End that he plans to purchase as part of his transition into the world of legitimate business. Meanwhile, Ronnie's open homosexuality has led to connections with a few members of Parliament, giving the Krays unexpected political leverage. The police find themselves in a tough spot. Going after the twins could expose powerful people, making their job even trickier. Frances narrates that this influence has allowed the Krays to avoid legal troubles on multiple occasions. Reggie and Frances get married, but their honeymoon phase is short-lived. Despite Reggie's efforts to run above-board businesses, he remains deeply entangled in illegal activities like drug trafficking and extortion, which keep him away from Frances for long stretches of time. On top of that, both Ronnie and their mother openly despise Frances, making her feel unwelcome and alone. The isolation wears her down, and she eventually turns to drugs to cope with her misery. On the criminal side, Ronnie becomes more erratic, acting without reason and forcing Reggie to constantly step in to keep things from falling apart. His behavior worsens because he refuses to take his medication. He enjoys the violent urges it brings. Things spiral further when a thug from Richardson's gang tries to move in on the Krays territory. Ronnie responds in the only way he knows how. He executes the man in cold blood, with plenty of witnesses present. This catches the attention of Nipper Red, now with Scotland Yard, who makes it his mission to take down the Krays. However, fear keeps witnesses silent, stalling any real progress in the case. Reggie's double life eventually takes its toll on his marriage. Despite Frances begging him to leave the criminal world behind, he refuses. Heartbroken, she walks away, only to tragically take her own life soon after. Meanwhile, Ronnie's paranoia reaches new heights. Out of pure spite, he orders Jack to kill Leslie Payne. Jack botches the hit, and Payne, knowing his life is now on the line, runs straight to the police. Having been deeply involved in the Krays affairs for years, Payne hands the police everything they need. With his information, authorities place multiple witnesses in protective custody, finally breaking the cycle of fear that kept the Krays untouchable. Not long after, at one of Ronnie's house parties, Reggie, now spiraling out of control, confronts Jack and kills him in front of numerous people. This act, along with Payne's testimony and other mounting evidence, gives the police exactly what they need to charge the Krays. Despite the political protection they once had, there's no escaping justice this time. A closing text reveals the fate of the brothers. Reggie was convicted and remained in prison until he was granted a compassionate release just 2 months before his death from cancer in 2000. Ronnie, deemed insane, spent the rest of his life in a psychiatric hospital, where he died in 1995. If you made it to the end of this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you didn't enjoy it, go ahead and hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. Also, make sure to watch the full movie if you haven't already. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.